गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जू की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद रशत रशत स्मर भक्तिसिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। नित्य प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जाय। श्री रूपानुगौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जाय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जाय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जाय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जाय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट विरक्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्त देवी की जाय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जाय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जाय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। श्री जानु सप्तमी की जाय। श्री जानवी पूजा की जाय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणेति नामिने। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनेति नामिने। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सार्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्थो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रयेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमं चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षाय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दं। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hari Bol, everybody. Rohit Radha Krishnan ji, Ganga Mata ji, and Shasharma, and Indira Mata ji, and Raseshwari Mata ji when they watch later on. Dandavat pranams to all of you. All right, so okay, couple days before we read about Ashtanga Yoga, the Siddhis and Vibhutis. So Uddhava asked the Lord about mystic perfections. Uddhava wanted to know this process, not to practice it, but only to increase his appreciation for bhakti through comparison. Krishna explains, the process of Ashtanga Yoga constitutes of 8 types of practice by which one attains mystic perfections. There are 18 types of siddhis, and there are 3 levels. But there's anima, becoming smaller than the smallest, mahima, becoming bigger than the biggest, laghima, and so on. All the siddhis are ultimately futile and are impediments and a waste of time for one who practices the supreme yoga of bhakti. Krishna then described his material and spiritual opulences, his vibhutis, and concluded, all power, beauty, fame, humility, charity, fortune, valor, tolerance, and wisdom, wherever they are manifest, are simply expansions of me. Then Uddhava asked Krishna, how can one achieve devotional service through one's prescribed duties in Varṇāśrama-dharma? Krishna declared how he is the origin of all the Varnas, or social orders, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and the ashrams, the spiritual orders of Brahmacharya, Brahmacharis, Grihastas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis. He then describes the qualities of the people of the different varnas and the duties of the people in different ashrams. The duties of the people in different ashrams. One is purified by undertaking his prescribed duties of Varnashram. When such duties are dedicated to me in loving service, they award the supreme stage of liberation. So today also we're going to be reading, we have 2 more days of reading about Varnashram. Hari Bol Madhavi Didi. So yesterday, we weren't able to finish. And today, I just realized, because I forgot that we didn't finish yesterday, and so we're definitely not going to be able to read up to verse 26, like what I wrote in the description. Okay, I'm going to just read from this. I'm just going to go a few verses back. Okay, I'm going to read from this point on, verse 27. Acharyamam vijaniyam navamanetya karhichit namarta buddha suyata sarvadeva mayoguru. One should know the Acharya as myself, and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. Every morning and evening, the brahmachari should bring whatever food and other things he has received by begging door to door and offer them to his spiritual master. Thereafter, with a controlled mind, he should accept whatever is allotted to him by his spiritual master. One should engage as the humble servant of the Acharya. When the spiritual master goes for a walk, the student should submissively follow him. When the spiritual master rests, the disciple should also rest, lying down nearby, always ready to render any required service. When the spiritual master sits down, the disciple should stand nearby with folded hands, ready to execute his order. Until his education is completed, a brahmachari should remain at the Gurukul, faithfully engaging in the service of the spiritual master while maintaining his vow of celibacy. If a brahmachari wishes to transfer himself to Maharloka and from there to Brahmaloka, he should very thoroughly study the Vedas under the direction of the spiritual master while strictly observing the vow of celibacy. Being enlightened with Vedic knowledge as a result of service to the spiritual master, and being freed from all sins and the vision of duality, one should worship me as the Supersoul, as I appear within fire, the spiritual master, one's own self, and all living entities. Except householders, Members of the other spiritual orders, sannyasis, vanaprasthas, and brahmacharis, they should never associate with women by glancing, touching, conversing, joking, or playing. Neither should they associate with any living entity who is engaged in sexual activities. I think we read up to this part. Yeah, we read up to here yesterday. So let me just... Haribo, Champak Didi. Oh, and I forgot to check the audio. Okay, good. Shocham achmanam, Shocham achamanam snanam, Sandhyopastir mamarchanam, Tirthaseva japosprishya, Bhaṣya sambhashya varjanam, Sarvashrama prayuktoyam niyama kulanandana, Marbhava sarvabhuteshu manovakaya samyama. Oh, we read this already. Sorry, guys. Anyways, I'm just going to continue reading. Cleanliness, performing achman, bathing, performing the religious duties prescribed for the morning, noon, and evening, worshipping me, going to the holy places of pilgrimage, avoiding those things that are forbidden, and cultivating the understanding that I am situated as the supersoul within all living entities. These practices should be observed by everyone with body, mind, and speech. A Brahman who strictly observes the vow of celibacy becomes as effulgent and powerful as fire. By the strength of his severe austerities, he burns to ashes the propensity to perform material activities, becoming freed from all material desires. Becoming free from all material desires, he becomes situated in pure devotional service. A brahmachari who desires to enter the grihastha ashram after completing his Vedic education should offer dakshina to his spiritual master, take permission from him, and then return home after completing the abhyang, oh God, I have a hard time saying that, abhyanga snana, or sacred bath, abhyanga snana. If a brahmachari wants to fulfill his material desires, he should accept the grihastha ashram. If a brahmana's only desire is to advance on the path of spiritual realization, he should accept either the vanaprastha ashram or sannyas ashram. One who is not surrendered to me should move progressively from one ashram to another, however, and not act otherwise. One who desires to enter the grihastha ashram should marry a girl of his own varna who is beyond reproach and who is younger in age. Thereafter, if one wants more wives, they should be accepted from one of the lower varnas. Those who belong to the three twice-born social orders should perform sacrifice, study the Vedas, and give charity. However, only brahmanas can accept charity, teach the Vedas, and perform sacrifices on behalf of others. Did we read up to this point? I think so. I don't remember reading this, actually. God, I'm sorry. I should have done this before. I forgot that we didn't finish this chapter yesterday. One second. Yeah, let's just read from this point on, because I don't remember reading this. Griham vana vopavishet pravrajerva dvijottama ashramam gachen nanyathatma nanyathamat parascharit. Did we do this one also? Just to be safe, and I don't have time to look at the verse unless somebody else knows, I'm going to just read from this point on. I need to make a note whenever we don't finish a chapter. Hari bol Sudevi Didi Dandavat Pranam. Okay. Atanantaram avikshan yata jigyasitagama gurave dakshinam tattva snayar gurvanumodita. A brahmachari who desires to enter the grihastha ashram after completing his Vedic education should offer dakshina to his spiritual master, take permission from him, and then return home after completing the abhyanga snana. No, I remember reading that. Okay, sorry. Okay, I just read this. Oh, God. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with me. Griham vanam vopa avishet pravajed dvidrotama ashramam gachen nanyatatma parascharet. If a brahmachari wants to fulfill his material desires, he should accept the grihastha ashram. If a Brahman's only desire is to advance on the path of spiritual life, on the path of spiritual realization, he should accept either the vanaprastha ashram or sannyasa ashram. One who is not surrendered to me should move progressively from one ashram to another, however, and not act otherwise. Sorry, guys. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. According to one's level of advancement, one should situate himself in one of the four ashrams. Generally, one is advised to advance from one ashram to another, from the brahmacharya ashram to the grihastha ashram, then to the vanaprastha ashram, and finally the sannyasa ashram. In this verse, it is indicated that those who are not surrendered devotees of the Lord must rigidly observe the regulations governing one's authorized social status. Here, however, it is recommended that a purified Brahman take to the renounced order of life, sannyas. If, however, one performs illicit activities on the strength of being transcendental to Vedic social divisions, one is revealed to be a materialistic neophyte and not an advanced devotee of the Lord. Griharti sadrishim bharyam Uddhava ajugupsitam yaviyasim tuvalyasa yam savarnam anukramat. One who desires to enter the grihastha ashram should marry a girl of his own varna who is beyond reproach and who is younger in age. Thereafter, if one wants more wives, they should be accepted from one of the lower varnas. Sārārtha-darśinī. One who desires to marry should select a girl from his own caste. A brahmana can marry girls of all the four varnas. A kshatriya can marry girls from the three varnas. A vaishya can marry girls from the two varnas, and a shudra can only marry a girl of his own varna. This is the verdict of his varna. This is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. I remember reading all this. Anyways. Ijyadhyayana dhanani sarvesham cha dvijanmanam pratigrahodhyapanam cha brahmanasyaiva yajanam. Those who belong to the three twice-born social orders should perform service, sacrifice, study the Vedas, and give charity. However, only Brahmanas can accept charity, teach the Vedas, and perform sacrifices on behalf of others. We already read this. Anyways, I'm going to just continue reading. Sārārtha-darśinī. Every member of the three higher varnas should worship the Supreme Lord, study the Vedas, and give charity. However, acceptance of charity, teaching the Vedas, and acting as a priest on another's behalf can be done only by the Brahmanas. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Gosvāmī Prabhupāda. Those who are twice born, who have undergone the purificatory procedures, must worship the Supreme Lord, study the Vedic literature, and give charity. Among the twice-born, only the Brahmanas are eligible to accept charity, conduct Vedic sacrifices on behalf of others, and teach the Vedic literature. Without the guidance of qualified Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas will not be able to properly carry out their duties, nor will they understand the Vedic literature, properly perform sacrifices, or give in charity to deserving persons. All these activities require the guidance of those who are in perfect knowledge of the truth. When society works under the direction of qualified Brahmanas, peace and prosperity prevail, and not otherwise. Sorry, one second. Okay. Pratigraham Manyamanas tapastejo yasho nudam anyabhyam eva jiveta shilarva doshadriktayo. A brahmana who considers that, oh God, I'm going way too far back. Give me 1 second. I just need to find out what we read to yesterday. Okay, this chapter is how many verses? It is 58. Oh God, I went way far back. I don't know why when I started reading it was stuck on this page though. Okay. I'm just going to read the translations up till, okay. A brahmana who considers that accepting charity from others will destroy his austerity, spiritual prowess, and fame should maintain himself by teaching Vedic knowledge and engaging as a sacrificial priest. If he considers these two activities to be faulty, then he should maintain himself by collecting grains from the agricultural fields. The body of a brahmana is not meant for enjoying insignificant sense gratification. Rather, it is meant for performing austerities in this life, so that a brahman will enjoy unlimited happiness after death. A brahmana householder should remain satisfied while maintaining himself by collecting rejected grains found in the fields and marketplaces. Keeping himself free of personal desire, he should practice religious principles while fixing his mind on me. In this way, a brahmana can remain at home, gradually cultivating detachment, and thus advance toward the ultimate goal of life. Just as a ship rescues a person who has fallen into the ocean and is drowning, I deliver my devotee Brahman who may be afflicted with poverty and who endeavors to deliver others from this ocean of birth and death. What a beautiful verse. Just as the king of elephants protects all the other elephants under his shelter and also defends himself, so a king, just like a father, should afford his subjects full protection and also defend himself from all adversaries. A king who protects himself and his citizens by removing the sinful activities from his kingdom will certainly enjoy with Indra and celestial airplanes that are as brilliant as the sun. If a Brahmin is unable to maintain himself by performing his prescribed duties, he may accept the occupation of a Vaishya and thus save himself from a life of poverty. If he still faces difficulty as a Vaishya, he can adopt the occupation of a Kshatriya, but he should never become like a dog by accepting an ordinary man as his master. A Kshatriya who cannot maintain himself by his normal occupation may act as a Vaishya, maintain himself by hunting, or teach the Vedas to others. But he must never, under any circumstances, undertake the profession of a Shudra. A Vaishya who cannot maintain himself may adopt the occupation of a Shudra, and a Shudra who cannot find a master can engage in simple work like making baskets and mats out of straw. However, all members of society who have adopted inferior occupations due to emergency situations must give them up once the difficulties have passed. According to their means, householders should daily worship the sages by studying the Vedas, the forefathers by offering oblations, the demigods by performing sacrifices, the living entities in general by offering them food, and human beings by offering them water and grains. They should perform the 5 kinds of daily sacrifices while understanding the demigods, sages, forefathers, and indeed all types of living entities to be representations of my various potencies. A householder should maintain his dependence by the wealth that has come of his own accord, as well as the wealth that he has earned by honest means. He should also utilize his wealth to perform sacrifices and other religious functions. Although a householder may have many dependents, he should not become attached to them, thinking that they have an intrinsic relationship with him. Nor should he become proud, considering himself to be some kind of lord. An intelligent householder should understand that all kinds of material happiness, even that which is available in heaven, is just like the temporary happiness that he has already experienced. One's society of children, wife, relatives, and friends can be compared to a meeting of travelers at an inn. Upon changing his body, one is separated from all such friends and relatives, just as when one wakes up from a dream. Just as one once wakes up from a dream, all that was seen is lost. A detached householder, after deeply considering his situation, should give up all pride and attachment and remain at home just like a guest. By doing so, he will never become entangled by domestic affairs. I'm just seeing right here what verse we left.
And enters the darkness of ignorance. Attachment remains in. Elderly parents continue to live without I survey. Protection, my mentality. That's kind of harsh. A house. So one should never think, how will my elderly parents continue to live? How can I form?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just checking.
Yeah, this can never be So.
Oh, I think we actually finished yesterday the chapter, didn't we? Whatever. A detached householder, after deeply considering his situation, should give up all pride and attachment and remain at home just like a guest. By doing so, he will never become entangled by domestic affairs. I'm just checking the commentary. I read up to, oh, thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't look at that. Oh, God, I should have gone back to the comments. I read up to 57. Okay. A householder devotee who faithfully worships me by the performance of his duties can reside at home or at a holy place of pilgrimage. If he has a grown-up son and has given up all desires for material enjoyment, he can take sannyas. However, a miserly householder who has strong desires to enjoy his money, lusty desires with his wife, and the association of his children, and thus thinks, all of these are mine, I am the master of all I survey, is in the densest darkness of ignorance. Okay, so we read up to this verse, right? Aho me pitaro vredo, bharya balat majat manja, anata mam rite dina, kattam jivanti dukkita. Alas, how will my elderly parents continue to live? Without my protection, my poor wife with her small children will suffer terribly. How can my poor family live without me? Sārārtha-darśinī. One may think, how can I leave home to advance in Krishna consciousness when I have my wife and my 1-month-old son? Alas, how can I leave my sons and daughters who are fully dependent on me? How will they prosper? How will they prosper? They are too young. In this way, an attached person remains full of anxiety. Evam grihashayakshipta hridayo muradir ayam atriptastan anudhyayan mritondham vishatetama. Thus, as a result of his foolish mentality, a householder whose heart is overwhelmed by family attachment remains in anxiety. While constantly meditating on his family, he dies and enters the darkness of ignorance. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. Those who engage their senses in sense gratification, instead of engaging them in the service of Lord Krishna, think that without them, their old parents and their wives and children will suffer, or that they will be criticized for not taking proper care of their dependents. In this way, the attached householders spend their days in anxiety. As a result of their primitive mentality, after death, they will certainly be dragged to a lower species of life. Okay, so we did finish yesterday. I don't know what, for some reason the idea came in my head that we didn't finish yesterday. Thus ends the translation of the 11th chapter of the Uddhava-gīta entitled Lord Krishna's Description of the Varnashram System. So now we begin chapter 12. Thank you for patiently going through all that with me. We're just going to read a little bit of this chapter today, and then we could read maybe about Janu Saptami, and then we will, yeah. You guys are so patient. Okay. Description of Varṇāśrama-dharma, chapter summary. In this chapter, Lord Shri Krishna explains to Uddhava the duties and practices of those in the Vanaprastha and Sannyas ashrams. So we now heard about the Grihastha and Brahmacharya and Grihastha, now Vanaprastha and Sannyas. One who accepted the Vanaprastha ashram should leave his wife at home in the care of his grown-up sons, or else take her with him to reside in the forest. He should then subsist upon whatever fruit and roots that are available in the forest, sometimes cooking grains when they are freely available. He should wear clothing made of tree bark, grass, and deerskin. While residing in the forest, he should not cut his hair, nails, or beard. He should bathe 3 times a day and sleep on the ground. During the heat of the summer, he should sit under the blazing sun after lighting fires on all 4 sides. Oh my God. During the monsoon, he should let the rain soak him, and in the winter, he should stand in the cold water up to the neck. My God. One in the Vanaprastha ashram should not brush his teeth, keep leftover food, or performing any sacrifices that involve killing animals. If a Vanaprastha faithfully follows these principles, he can attain the Tapaloka planet after death. The 4th quarter of one's life should be spent in the renounced order of life, sannyas. When one realizes the ultimate futility of material existence, even in the endeavor to reach the heavenly planets, he should accept sannyas as an expression of his renunciation. At the time of accepting the renounced order of life, one should worship the Supreme Lord, give everything in his possession in charity, and fix his mind on the Lord with determination. For a sannyasi, intimate association with women is more abominable than drinking poison. A sannyasi should only wear a loincloth and carry nothing more than his staff and water pot. He should live a life of complete nonviolence, and he should carefully control his mind, body, and speech. While remaining detached from any comfortable material situation, he should be fixed in self-realization while traveling alone to holy places of pilgrimage, as well as mountains, rivers, and forests, while constantly remembering the Supreme Lord. A sannyasi should fearlessly reside in a secluded place. He should maintain himself by begging from 7 houses of those who are not fallen, selected at random. Whatever he obtains, he should offer to the Supreme Lord and accept the remnants as prasadam. He should always remember that desires for sense gratification are the causes of bondage, whereas the utilization of everything in the service of the Lord is liberation. When a person who has failed to conquer his 6 enemies headed by lust, and who has no knowledge of or renunciation accepts the renounced order of life simply for the sake of maintaining himself, the thing he will achieve is the killing of his own self. Oh my God, heavy. A Paramahamsa is not governed by the rules and regulations prescribed in the scriptures. He is a topmost devotee of the Lord, who is fully detached from the objects of the senses and doesn't even desire liberation from material existence. Although he is the foremost learned scholar, he is devoid of pride and he is transcendental to praise and infamy. Although he is the most expert of all persons, he wanders about like a madman, and although he is greatly learned, he speaks like one possessed by a ghost. Although he is a master of the Vedas, he seems to act irresponsibly. He tolerates the harsh words of others and never tries to retaliate such insults. He never creates enmity with others, and he is never enticed into a useless argument. He sees how the Supreme Lord is situated in all living entities, and how all living entities are situated in the Supreme Lord. He maintains himself with whatever food, clothing, and shelter are obtained of their own accord. As a result, he peacefully performs his worship of the Lord without any anxiety. Although he may sometimes endeavor to get some food, just to keep the body and soul together, he is never overjoyed when he receives something palatable, nor does he become dejected when he fails to receive anything. He is on the same platform as the Supreme Lord, who is not under the jurisdiction of the Vedic injunctions, but by his own free will, he performs pastimes for the welfare of all. Because such a Paramahamsa has transcended the dualities of material existence, as the fruit of his transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Lord, after quitting his material body, he attains the liberation known as Sārshti, whereby he becomes equal in opulence with the Lord. A person who desires his own self-interest should take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and faithfully serve him, considering him to be non-different from the Supreme Lord. The primary duty of a brahmachari is to serve his spiritual master. The principal duties of a grahastha are to maintain the other classes of men and perform sacrifices. A vanaprastha must live a life of austerities, and a sannyasi must carefully control his mind and senses. Celibacy, austerity, cleanliness, remaining satisfied, exhibiting friendship toward all living beings, and worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the duties to be performed by every human being. By performing one's occupational duties under the direction of the Supreme Lord, one develops devotion for him. He should always be cognizant of the Lord because he resides within the bodies of all creatures as the Supersoul. Those who follow the Karmakanda sections of the Vedas ordinarily attain the planets of the forefathers. But if they become devotees of the Supreme Lord, they can rise to the platform of liberation. Hare Krishna, Gargaraj Ji and Gopikant Prabhu. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vanam Vivikshu Putreshu Bharyam Nyasya Sahayvava Vana Eva Vaset Chantas Tritiyam Bhagamayusha. The Supreme Lord said, one who desires to adopt the third order of life, the Vanaprastha ashram, should leave his wife in the care of his mature sons, or else take her with him to peacefully reside in the forest. Sārārtha-darśinī. This 12th chapter describes the duties of the Vanaprastha and Sannyasi, the devotee's position of not being confined to the principles of ashram, and discussion of the ultimate goal of life. The third portion of one's life, beginning at the age of 50 and continuing up to the age of 75, should be spent in the Vanaprastha ashram. Thereafter, one should take sannyas. There are 4 spiritual orders in human society, of which Vanaprastha is the third. To accept the Vanaprastha ashram, a householder should either leave his wife in the care of his grown-up sons, or take her with him and enter the forest. If one hopes to live for 100 years, he can take Vanaprastha at the age of 50. And sannyas at the he should take Vanaprastha at the age of 50 and sannyas at the age of 75. At present, however, very few people live to 100, and so one should renounce materialistic life earlier. That was Gauḍīya Bhāṣya of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Kandamula palarvanyar medhyar vrittim prakalpayet vasita valkalam vasas trina parna jinaniva. In the forest, a vanaprastha should maintain himself by eating pure fruit, roots, and bulbs that grow in the forest. He should dress himself in tree bark, leaves, grass, or deerskin. Sārārtha-darśinī. The word vasita means to dress oneself. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. It is recommended that a member of the Vanaprastha ashram should subsist upon the fruit and roots that are available in the forest, and he should wear garments of deerskin, tree bark, and so on. In the 14th verse of the 6th chapter of the Manu Samhita, it is stated, Varjayen madumam mangsam cha bhaumani kavakani cha bhushtarinam shigurukam chaiva shleshmata kafalani cha. One should not partake of honey-based liquors, animal flesh, fungus, mushrooms, horseradish, or any hallucinogenic or intoxicating herbs, even those as so-called medicine. Even taken as so-called medicine. 3. Kesharo manakas shmashru malani bibrayadata na david apsumajeta trikalam shtandileshaya. A vanaprastha should not groom his hair or beard, manicure his nails, cleanse his teeth, or pass stool or urine at irregular times. He should be satisfied to bathe 3 times a day, and he should sleep on the bare ground. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. A vanaprastha is prohibited to shave or brush his teeth because such activities would draw his attention to the material body. He should bathe 3 times a day and sleep on the ground. What's the difference between bathing the body and bathing and brushing your teeth? Bathe 3 times a day, but never brush your teeth? I don't get that. Grishme tapyeta panchagnin varshasva sarajale akanta magnasheshe shishira evam vritas tapascharet. While engaged in his life as a vanaprastha, one should execute penance during the hottest days of summer by keeping fires on 4 sides and the blazing sun overhead. During the rainy season, one should remain outside, subjecting himself to torrents of rain. And in the freezing winter, one should remain submerged in water up to his neck. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. The followers of Karmakanda should practice the penance of tolerating the 5 kinds of heat during the summer. In the rainy season, they should remain outside, even when there are torrents of rain. In the winter, they should remain submerged in water up to the neck. A devotee of the Lord, however, naturally develops Krishna consciousness and need not subject himself to such radical penances. The Narad Pancharatra confirms this. Aradito yadi haris tapasa tata kim. Oh yeah, we've seen this verse 2 times already. Naradito yadi haris tapasa tata kim. Antar bahir yadi haris tapasa tata kim. Nantar bahir yadi haris tapasa tata kim. If one is worshipping the Lord properly, what is the use of severe penance? And if one is not properly worshipping the Lord, what is the use of severe penance? If Sri Krishna is realized within and without everything that exists, what is the use of severe penance? And if Sri Krishna is not seen within and without everything, then what is the use of severe penance? So I guess there's no use of severe penance whether you accept Krishna or not. I mean, whether you see Krishna within everything or not. That's such an interesting verse. Okay. Agni pakvam samashniyat kala pakvam atapiva ulukalashma kurtova danto lukala evava. One can eat cooked food, such as grains, or eat fruit that has been ripened in the course of time. One can grind grains with a stone mortar and pestle, and one can simply grind the grains with his teeth. Just stick it in your mouth and crunch it, grind it with your teeth. Sārārtha-darśinī. As a concession, one can grind food grains with a stone and mortar. Otherwise, one can simply grind his food with his teeth. Swayam sanchi nuyat sarvam atmano vrittikaranam deshakala balabhigyo nadaditanyatatthritam. The vanaprastha should go out and collect only as much as he requires for his bodily maintenance. He should not save anything for future use. Sārārtha-darśinī. A vanaprastha must collect things for his maintenance in consideration of the place, the time, and his capacity, and he must not save anything for the future use, thus depending upon the mercy of the Lord. Of course, during an emergency, or if one is an invalid, this rule need not be strictly followed. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. Unless one is an invalid, one should not depend on others for one's maintenance, because this will make one indebted, so that he'll have to be reborn to repay whatever he has received. In the Manu Samhita 6.15, it is stated, Tyaje dashva yuje masi munyanam purvasanchitam jirnani chaivavasangsi shaka mula falani cha. A sage should not have the habit of accumulating things for future use. He should wear old clothes and maintain himself by eating spinach, roots, and fruit. Vāṇāśrama puro dāśair nirvapet kala choditam natu shrotena pashuna mam yajeta vanashrami. The vanaprasthas should perform seasonal sacrifices by offering oblations of charu and sacrificial cakes prepared from rice and other grains that are found in the forest. However, he should never offer animal sacrifices to me, even those that are mentioned in the Vedas. Definitely a relief. My God, those were intense. Okay. So the vanaprastha should perform seasonal sacrifices by offering oblations of charu and sacrificial cakes prepared from rice and other grains that are found in the forest. However, one should never offer animal sacrifices to me, even those mentioned in the Vedas. Sārārtha-darśinī. For example, in the month of November-December, one should worship the Supreme Lord with an offering of newly harvested grains. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. The vanaprastha should perform sacrifice by utilizing whatever is available in the forest during the various times of the year. However, he should never perform any sacrifice that involves killing animals. Agnihotram chadarshascha purnamasascha purvavat chaturmasyani cha muner atmanatani amnatani chanai gamai. Expert knowers of the Vedas have prescribed for a vanaprastha the performance of various sacrifices, such as the Agnihotra, Darsha, and Purnamasa, as well as the vow of Chaturmasya. Sārārtha-darśinī. The vanaprastha should observe whatever practices have been prescribed by the expert knowers of the Vedas. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. 1. Agnihotra. After marriage, a brahmana should perform fire sacrifice as prescribed in the Vedas, especially during the spring. He should make a vow to use certain ingredients for the performance of his sacrifices, and he should stick to that principle for the rest of his life. On moonless nights, one should personally perform fire sacrifice, especially with oblations of barley. On other days, he may use other ingredients. After the completion of 100 such sacrifices, he should perform a special sacrifice for the satisfaction of the sun god in the morning, and another special sacrifice for the satisfaction of the moon god in the evening. After commencing the performance of sacrifice during the first full moon day of the month, one should particularly perform the Darsha and Purnamasa sacrifices. One should perform 3 separate fire sacrifices on the full moon day and 3 on the new moon day. This procedure he should observe for the remainder of his life. One who performs the Agnihotra sacrifice in this way is assured of elevation to the heavenly planets, where he will enjoy great happiness. This has been described in the literature known as Shatapata Brahmana. So now 2. Darsha. Darsha refers to the new moon day because on that day the sun and the moon are in proximity. In the Matsya Purana it is said, Anyonyam Chandra Suryotu Darshana Darsha Uchate. On the day of Darsha, the sun and the moon see each other. 3. Purnamasa. There are various sacrifices to be performed on the full moon day. The procedures for performing these sacrifices are mentioned in the 4th chapter of the Manu Samhita. The book called Katayana Shrota Sutra, in that book, the processes for performing sacrifices are also described. 4. Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya is of 2 kinds, the Chaturmasya sacrifice and the Chaturmasya vow. For a description of the procedures of this sacrifice, one should refer to the Katayana Shrota Sutra, chapter 5. The procedures for observing this vow are described in the Matsya Purana Bhavishya Puran, Skanda Puran, Sanat Kumar Samhita, and Sanat Kumar Samhita. One should also consult the Hari Bhakti Vilas in this connection. Evam chirnena tapasa munir dhamani santata mam tapo aradhya rishi lokar upaitimam. When a vanaprastha performs severe austerities, only accepting the bare necessities of life so that he becomes so emaciated that his bones and veils are clearly seen, he will attain Maharloka and thereafter come to my supreme abode. Sārārtha-darśinī. Maharloka is a planet of sages. After attaining the Maharloka, the vanaprastha who had not completed his course of Krishna consciousness will make further advancement and thus qualify to go back home, back to Godhead. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. After living a life of penance while observing all the required rules and regulations, an ascetic reaches the planet of the sages. If he can understand the insignificant nature of that achievement, he may cultivate his taste for worshipping the Supreme Lord. In the cultivation of unalloyed devotional service, there is no need for excessive penance. Rather, there is an abundance of worship of the Lord. Yastvetat kritratas chirnam tapo nishreyasam mahat kamayal piyase yunjar balisha ko parastata. Who could be more foolish than a person who utilizes his exalted but painful penance, which can award ultimate liberation, for enjoying insignificant sense gratification? Who could be more foolish than a person who utilizes his exalted but painful penance, which can award liberation, for insignificant sense gratification? Sārārtha-darśinī. In this verse, the Lord condemns those in the vanaprastha ashram who are materially ambitious. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. It is not the duty of an intelligent person to try to subdue his material desires by undergoing severe penance. Rather, he should engage in the direct service of the Supreme Lord. Penance without devotional service is the act of a fool and is glorified only in the Karma-kanda sections of the Vedas. Yadaso niyame kalpo jarayat jatave patu atmanyagnin samaropya machchitognim samavishet. When a vanaprastha approaches the old age, so that his body trembles and he can no longer perform his prescribed duties, then, in a trance of meditation, he should place the sacrificial fire within his heart, fix his mind upon me, and finally enter the fire to give up his life. Wow. Sārārtha-darśinī. The word akalpa means being incapable. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. Only those who are attached to materialistic life and who therefore suffer because of their enjoying spirit need to enter fire to give up their bodies. When the mind is fixed on the Supreme Lord, one does not see the need for relinquishing his body in this way. Rather, by the performance of the congregational chanting of the holy name of Krishna, the fire of material existence becomes extinguished. Yada karma vipakeshu lokeshu nirayatmasu virago jayate samyam nyastagni pravrajet tata. If the vanaprastha develops a detachment for everything material, even promotion to Brahmaloka, knowing that any situation resulting from the fruits of one's activities is miserable, he can accept the renounced order of life, sannyas. Sārārtha-darśinī. The phrase karma vipakeshu means the result obtained by one's actions. Gauḍīya Bhāṣya. If one becomes detached from the aspiration to attain any of the higher material planets which are obtained as a result of one's fruit of actions, then one should surrender unto the Supreme Lord and dovetail all his propensities in his service. In this way, one can be freed from material desires without the execution of severe penance. Okay, so now we will read about the sannyasi, which I think this is a good place to end. So let me just make a note here so I don't take up all that time like I did today, trying to find where we were. We read up to 13. We read up to verse 13. There. All right. So, yeah, we'll stop here because now we went through Vanaprastha and now we're moving into Sannyas. We'll read about that tomorrow. And yeah, so today is Janu Saptami and Janavi Puja. So let's see if there's anything on vcvani.com about Janu Saptami. Janu Saptami. Let's read. Ooh. This is longer than a 5-minute reading though. Okay, maybe I'll go live to read this later and we can just finish for now. Whoa, look at this. Karma Kanda is very complex. A lot against Karma Kanda today. Although people visit Gangasagar, it will relieve only one from the sin of Brahma Hatya, but not killing of a friend. Anyways, Karma Kanda is very complex. Everything is considered as auspicious. Anyways, well, yeah, so I'm gonna, since time is over, I'm going to stop here. And yeah, if you want the link to this, you know where to go. Go to vcvani.com and you can read about Janu Saptami. Okay. I'm going to do Jaidwani and then sing Keshavashtakam. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Shishimar Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupāda Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nagagoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Patadasha Gunath, Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradatta Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kundi Munogagan Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Uddhava-gīta Ki Jai. Shri Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura Sārārtha-darśinī Ki Jai. Shri Bhaktisiddhānta Sarasvatī Goswami Prabhupāda Gauḍīya Bhāṣya Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so now, Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavadaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. Let's make this dark. I'm just getting my mridanga. 1 second. Oh, Krishna. Okay. Navapriya-kamanjari Rachita-karnapura Shriyam Venedrataramalati Kalita-shekareno jvalam Darojvasita-yutika Kratita-valgovai-kakshakam Vraje Vijayinam Vaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Pishangi Manikastani Pishangi Manikastani Pranata Shringi Pinge Kshane Mridanga Mukhi Dhumale Shabalihang Shivangsi Priye Iti sasuraviculam taralamavayantam muda Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Gana Pranayame Duran Madhuranarma Goshti Kala Vilasa Nilayan Milad Vivida Vesha Vedyotina Sakena Kila Saraya Patishuhasayantam Gira Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Shramam Bukanikavali Daravilida Kandantara Samoda Giridhatuvir Likita Charupantram Puram Udancharali Mandali Duti Vidambiva Kralaka Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Nipadanavatarnaka Vali Vilokanotkanthaya Nathat Kuraputanchalar Alugubir Bhuvam Bindatim Kalena Davala Ghatam Lagu Nirvartayam Tampuro Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Vadankatati Virvaram Virachayantam Advashiyam Chalatarala Naichiki Nichaya Dhuli Dhumrasrajam Malrula Hari Chanchali Krita Dukula Churanchalam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Vilasa Murali Kala Dvani Birulasan Manasa Shanara Kila Ballavi Pulakayantamantargihe Muhur Vidatatang Hride Pramuditancha Goshteshware Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Upetyapati Sundari Tati Virabhyarabhyarchitam Smetankura Vitar Natarapanga Bhangishatar Stanastavaka Sancharan Nayana Chanchari Kanchala Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Idam Nikhila Ballavi Kula Mahotsavo Lasana Gramena Kilaya Puman Patati Shushtupadashtakam tam ujjvala diyam sada nijapadaravindatvaye ratim dadada chanchalam sukayatar vishakasaka Vraje vijayinam vraje vipina deshata keshavam Vraje vijayinam vraje vipina deshata keshavam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Keshav-dev, 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 Jaya Keshav-dev, Jaya Keshav-dev, Jaya Keshav-dev, Keshav-dev, Jaya Keshav. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai, Shri Param Gurudev, Shri Prabhupāda ki Jai, Shri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Saparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Radha Krishna Gopa Gopikan ki Jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol, everybody. Hare Krishna. Anar Singh and Rohit Radha Krishna ji. Hare Krishna. All right, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for your patience, tolerance. These past 3 days have been really strange. I've been with people all day and staying up till 1:30 in the morning, 12:30 in the morning, like that, and I've just not been, I've been really out of it. So, but tomorrow I want to get back on track and I'll be more focused. All right, everybody, see you tomorrow. Hari Bol. Oh, wait, 1 second. Let's see. Day after tomorrow is the appearance day of Janava Devi and Sita Devi, and the disappearance day of Sri Madhu Pandit. And then 4 days from now is Mohini Akadashi. And then in 1 week, Nrsimha Chaturdashi. And the day after that is also a big day, appearance day of Madhavendra Puri and Srinivasacharya, and also the disappearance day of Parameshwari Ṭhākura, and it's also Purnima. And then the day after that is disappearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhānta Gosvāmī Maharaj. All right, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Radhe.